Nation. And we are going to talk about getting strong today. Not only getting strong, but possibly even getting strong at home. And I'm going to be bringing on the strongest person that I know, pound for pound, the strongest instructor on our Pain-Free Performance Specialist certification staff, Tasha Whalen, who is very, very, very strong. But she's also a very worldly coach that has a lot of great insights in terms of conditioning, but also training for general fitness. Really excited to get a little tidbit of information from Tasha today. So we're going to connect this up. Tasha, you're looking black. Oh, yes. She's back. All right.
Here I am.
I want to start out by saying that I just gave you some props. You know, you are the strongest person that I know, but I strategically posted various split squats today that I outperformed you on. Not only did I hit 5 easy repetitions per leg without straps, without a belt, without sleeves, without specialty equipment, this was actually a heavier weight than you couldn't even get into position a couple weeks ago on the Bulgarian split squat.
Well,
so today of all days, I am the stronger individual. But in all actuality, Tasha has deadlifted over 500 pounds in competition. She's also squatted over 400 pounds. She is a world record holder, and she is also very worldly in terms of a very eclectic approach to strength and conditioning. But fuck all that stuff. I don't want to ask you about any of that today. I want to talk about what you're doing with yourself, with your clients, with strength, and trying to maintain strength even when we have a couple limitations, because you and I both have beautiful home facilities, but a lot of our clients do not. And some of the ways that you're actually combating this and getting the most time here in isolation at home.
So what I'm finding is obviously there's a lack of equipment, right? So people are not able to optimize their external loading. So they don't have equipment. We can't go heavy on stuff. But what they are neglecting to do is really focus on mastering their own body weight, their own body, how it moves in space. And so one thing I'm really kind of stressing with my clients when I'm writing their at-home workouts too, and when they have no equipment, is focusing on that internal loading. So I think that's going to be a huge key to kind of be successful with no equipment. So that internal loading, when we're really creating that tension, letting the body, letting it radiate up the limbs, we want to create as much tension in the body as we can. So that's going to allow us to really create a lot more stability, obviously, and generate more force. And the problem that I have right now with people too, I know that when they go back to the gym, they're going to be super excited and they're missing the weights. They're going to be like, oh man, bro, I got to go crush some heavy weights. I haven't been able to do it. So they're going to go underneath that heavy load again when their body has been neglected. They haven't been primed or prepped to do this load, but they're going to be so excited to go under this, and then they're going to get greater risk of injury, right? They're going to get painful movements, which we don't want. We want to be pain-free. So a big key to that is really focusing on that internal loading, bracing, that tension, that tightness. And you can do that just with your body weight, mastering your movement there. And that's going to save you all that pain when you go under that weight again, right? We want to still prime and prep our CNS too. And doing that is going to help prime and prep us for returning to the gym. So really slowing down the movements, really focusing on the eccentric portion of the movement, that internal tension and bracing, tempo work, that's going to be key to success right now. You can still make gains doing that too. It's not going to be as cool as you would say, as sexy, getting underneath heavy ass weight and making it look cool, but you can still accomplish quite a bit with just your own body weight.
Well, it sounds a lot like phase 5 in our dynamic warm-up, our 6th phase in the PPSC, that we try to make light weights feel heavy. And it's strength and conditioning 101. It's like, hey, you don't really necessarily want to add a huge amount of external load on a pattern that isn't mastered with body weight.
Absolutely.
The pain and the repercussions that we tend to see with injuries in the gym and out are just basically putting too much intensity or too much challenge on a pattern that is really built with a foundation, which is a house of cards. So maybe this is the time to start to grease the groove and improve the actual movement pattern itself from the ground back up. But I feel like a lot of it is like, how do I get tired fastest? That's what a lot of the bodyweight training programs that I see online right now. And it's like, that's not necessarily the thing. It's like, We cannot treat the training that we're doing today exactly the same as we're treating when you have 300 or 400 pounds on your back doing it for doubles and triples. The training has to change. But I think you nailed it with making light weights feel heavy, really building up that internal tension. But you focused on a couple of key points here. You talked about tempo, and you also talked about strategic pausing. So break that down for people. What does that actually mean in terms of trying to get more out of people with basically no load?
Right. So, I mean, people are going there doing volume after volume, all these reps of squats, let's say. So if we're going to focus on squats right now, but if you really take that time to, again, like I said, kind of root your feet down, create that tension throughout the entire body, slow down that movement on the eccentric portion of that. I mean, take 5 seconds to get down into that hole, pause in that hole, maintaining that tension, and then you can explode up. You still want to train explosively as well, right? You can do this with isometrics, a lot of this power, a lot of jumping, plyometric stuff. So either slowing it down, pausing it in the hole, pausing it wherever you're at, even in the bottom portion of a push-up. You can do plyo push-ups, explosive movements, muscle recruitment here. The more muscle fibers that we can recruit, the better you're going to be off, right? So, I mean, slowing things down, pausing in the hole, holding positions with the isometric holds, that's going to be a bigger bang for your buck right now. So really take that into consideration.
All those methods that you just referred to, really the key is that we increase time under tension.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that is going to be a key driver, not only of muscular hypertrophy, but also metabolic stress, aka getting a pump into the tissues. So when you don't have a huge amount of external load, the mechanical stress on your system is probably going to be a little bit lower. But what needs to happen is metabolic stress needs to be able to go up, meaning that you might get those really, really pumped up muscles, the burn, so to say. And we usually achieve that with sets that go maybe 30, 45 plus seconds. But think about like 30 or 45 seconds of air squats of people just bullshitting. You could get 150 reps in 45 seconds. Maybe if you slow it down, do what Tasha's saying, 5 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause at the bottom with a huge amount of tension and an explosive base up. You know, that's really the best way to get the most out of your body weight or lighter loads right now without having to do a million reps. Because, you know, what happens when people do too much total volume, Tasha? You know it than anybody.
Oh, it breaks down. I mean, your form goes to shit anyways. I mean, so you're just going to fall apart, basically. You're going to get overly fatigued. You're going to fall apart. Form's going to go. You know, your stability, you're going to lose stability. You're going to lose tension and tightness. So slowing it down for, I mean, a few good quality reps, again, is going to be far better off for you than just going through all these movements, or like we were talking with Ben Bruno, all that burpee stuff, when it's like one of the most poorly executed movements ever. 90% of people execute that really poorly. That's a very advanced movement. But so slowing down these movements, breaking it up differently is going to be much, much better, much more optimal.
In terms of like, I mean, Ben and I talked about this with upper body. People can figure it out. You know, if they have bands, if they have their body weight, you're going to be doing a ton of push-ups, some face pulls, some pull apart, some rows with the band. But the lower body really tends to be the things that people are neglecting, but also the posterior chain. So we're thinking about
upper back,
the upper back
glutes,
and the lower back and the glutes and the hamstrings. Dare I say the calves? What are some of your go-tos right now to be able to actually build those things up? Because people are sitting around more than ever before. We're sitting around right now in these bullshit postures on Instagram Live. And we need to be combating these more than ever before. But the programs that I'm seeing are like 3-to-1 push to pull. It's totally reversed. But people don't necessarily know how to hit the hinges. They don't necessarily know how to hit the pulls. You know, what are your go-tos right now?
Sure. I mean, that's tricky. The most things that we're going to think of is the pushing movements, right? That's the easiest thing, but we need to focus on posterior chain. That's going to be, again, better bang for your buck there, especially going back into the gym. So we talk about isometric holds. Cliff Harsky, I love Cliff Harsky. He's awesome. I think last week he was posting this isometric hold where he was kind of holding himself up into a TRX position, but with his upper back holding it. So you can still perform these things and work the muscles by just isometric holding. We have the Y's, T's, and I's, right? You can slow that movement. I don't need weight to do this, but I can hold it and I can, again, create that kind of tension, and I'm still recruiting muscle fibers back there. You know, I'm still activating all that muscle. So a lot of the isometric holds, like I'll have people, my clients, go up to a pillar or a board, kind of hold isometrically and engaging their lats as much as they can, even with their body weight. Here I am doing a row. If I slow that down and create internal tension, I am still working my muscles back there. Yeah, I don't have anything in my hands, but I don't necessarily need to in order to actually get some recruitment back there. So slowing that down and then making those holds, holding that position is going to still recruit muscle, still allows you to work the posterior chain by doing that. So I think that's kind of my go-tos there, is really kind of doing the isometric holds at Supermans. You can get on your stomach, do the holds, right? You're holding back here in that position, arms out to a T, stuff like that. Definitely. Simple things that people are not doing. It's not that hard to do it. We just got to kind of refocus our the movements that we want to focus on, which is what we've said in PPSC is a 3-to-1 ratio of pull to push. We want more pulling versus pushing, and we're not seeing that right now. You can also now, if you have like a roommate, a kid, take a towel. Have a towel. It's like tug of war, right? You can still tug of war them and do some rows. That's.
I want to see you versus Dan. I'm expecting that video now.
Okay, fine. For you, I'll do it.
Strongest person survives.
You know what that's actually going to look like is me just to him. But
yeah, definitely.
Whatever.
Yeah, a couple of things that I've been trying to focus on. I featured a bunch of these different positions and these movements in 28 Days Later. Is that people don't necessarily have squat racks in order to have anchor points on. So where are the anchor points for band training, specifically for pulling-based movements with shoulder emphasis that people can be utilizing? I've been having a lot of my clients simply go to a doorknob and be able to double the band around the door, be able to do face pulls, be able to do rows, be able to do your horizontal pulling patterns. Also,
you can stand on it as well.
Exactly. I hope everyone has a couch. You know, if you have a couch, it's heavy enough so you can actually have a low anchor. You can put the band around the low anchor of one of the pieces of the couch. And there you can do your low angle pulls. You can do seated pulls. You can do half kneeling pulls. You can have a lot. The biggest question that I've been getting is like, how do we get up overhead? How do we do pull-ups now? How do we do all these things that go into the vertical plane of motion?
Right.
Honestly, this is probably not the time to be trying to like get creative. I've seen some crazy shit online right now. It's like people doing pull-ups on their doors that are like open hinges. I don't know about your doors, but like my doors, I would definitely not put 200 pounds on my door right now.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. No.
That would be like, I would be in trouble, you know.
Seen some special stuff.
Yeah, no like kidding. If I broke a door in half trying to do pull-ups, it would be pretty bad. The one intriguing thing that I did see from Sivan Fagan was that she got some long towels. She actually taped them up, made a suspension trainer, locked them into the top of the door, slammed that door shut, and then actually used it as like a TRX or a suspension so you could do a little bit of row-based movement. That was really, really nice. But we definitely try to stay within the horizontal pattern for pulls. That means face pulls. That means pull apart, something that doesn't require anchor points, and being able to just get a shit ton of volume. Like I recommended that people do 10 face pulls every single waking hour. And people are like, blasphemy, that's too much pulling. It's like, hey man, you're sitting on your fucking ass all day watching the news on your cell phone, on
internally
your computer.
Rotated. Yeah.
Let's make sure that we get out of those positions. This is something that I've been recommending in 10 years with our office workers. Get up, get an anchor point, band pull aparts, band face pulls. Let's get out of that posture. Let's shift for a second here. Let's talk about hinging. Let's talk about glutes and hamstring work. What are your go-tos right now?
Again, things I was saying earlier, but just really slowing things down. So I'm doing a lot of single leg glute bridges with holds. So I'm having people do tempo work there and then holding at the top end of that motion. So it's just getting some good quality reps in there, slowing it down, and then holding and contracting as hard as they possibly can. Again, that's maintaining that internal tension, rooting their feet down. So I'm still having people go through hinging motions just because I don't want them to lose that patterning. Keeping and maintaining and mastering the patterning is huge. So even if they don't have anything that were any resistance or bands or anything, I'm still making them go through those patterns just so they can still stay focused and dialed into it when we do actually return to lifting or loading those movements. So just slowing it down, going through the motions, really focused on being intentful with the movement and engaged with the movement and contracting the muscles. And again, just good, slow quality movements is what I'm having people do, really.
Yeah, I mean, glute bridges, whether it be feet elevated, whether it be shoulders elevated, whether it be single leg, pulsing isolation moves, you should be doing a shit ton of hip bridges, glute thrusts, hip thrusts, whatever you want to call them. That should be a key emphasis right now. But
you could do this every day, and you're not going to get overstimulated from it. Yeah, it's,
we
you're
always
not going to burn out or overtrain.
The upper back and the glutes, you cannot be too big or have too much frequency or volume on these things because they're postural stabilizers. They're the things that protect the shoulder, the things that protect the lower back. But one savior for our clients has been the RDL with a heavy band. Because it requires 0 anchor points. You can put that heavy band under your feet. You can go out in a wide sumo stance. You can go into your squat stance. You can go into narrow power stance to get different recruitment of your glutes versus your lower back. Yeah. You could do that, and you can actually get down through a full range of motion. And it actually is a pretty good peak contraction if you have a heavy enough band at the top where you, again, use that eccentric, you use those pauses, and you're able to make light weights feel heavy with that. I know I've been throwing them into my workouts, and I have everything in the world here at my gym just because they are that good. So if you're looking for a very good hinge variation, most likely you're not going to be doing max effort deadlifts with like a red band around your feet, like trying to go for 500 pounds of band tension. We got to grease the groove. We got to maybe work into the strength schemes, 10, 15, 20 reps, getting to a form failure and getting the stimulus that way.
Right. That's what's really nice about your 28 days later too. I mean, you broke that down. You have 28 days of great exercises that accomplishes all of that. I mean, it's really fantastic and it's easy to do and it's stuff that you're doing every single day, right? You're moving every day to accomplish these things. So that's a good kind of thing for people to check out right there too. 28 days later.
Speaking of that, I want to address a couple questions that I've been getting, especially from our clients. A lot of my people, they tend to train hard just like you and I do. They tend to use the barbell every now and then and have earned the right to do so. But you said something so smart before, and I want to go back to this because I've been addressing these same questions. I'm recommending that a lot of people go in and they utilize my Foundations program right now because it is yours forever, but it is probably the right move after quarantine is over to get back into the gym. Because you mentioned, hey, I haven't trained with weights in 8 weeks, and in 12 weeks, in 16 weeks, I haven't had a load on my back. I haven't had to really brace up that hard. And all of a sudden, I'm going to go right back into 5x5s. I'm going to go back into conjugate.
Heavy lifting,
and people are going to get fucked up.
Yes, they
are. Because what do we know about injury? We know that acute spikes in loading are the times where we get, repeat that, when you have novelty or acute spikes in loading, aka you haven't had weights in a long time, now you have weights again. We need to slowly and sequentially move back into that loading scheme. And this is a reason that I am actually recommending that when this is all done, that people maybe move into something that doesn't necessarily have a barbell on your back day one. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're pulling a bar off the floor day one, even if you've done it in the past. But you use maybe 8 to 12 weeks to get yourself to the point where not only you can start progressing again, but do it safely, because this is the worst scenario that I can figure out. You go 12, 16 weeks in your fucking house. Day one, week one, back in the gym.
1 rep max.
Hurt yourself.
Crush.
And you're sitting back at your house again, waiting to get healthy. Guys, we need to avoid that at all costs, because that is adding injury to insult in a literal sense.
100%.
So, we need to start slow, and there's nothing wrong. It doesn't make you less of a man if you don't go back in and hammer right away.
You're going to bounce back real quick, right? I mean, there's muscle memory. You're going to bounce back if you do it smart. As long as you're not just going right underneath that bar and just crush yourself, getting injured and setting yourself back even further. So be patient with it. You're not going to be able to pick up exactly where you left off the last day you were in the gym. So doing exactly what you said is key. We just really got to slow things down and not jump right back to where we want to be and where we were before. So, yeah.
Definitely. It seems like a world ago that we had the PPSC at Pro Club up in Seattle, Washington with your staff. And we're living in a totally different day and age right now. But, this all started around the Seattle area a number of weeks ago. And you were the first epicenter of this. And in the fitness industry, your facility, your coaches, they were the first ones that were affected. So, how are things now? How are things in your region up in the Pacific Northwest? And, how are the coaches managing, and what's the light at the end of the tunnel for them?
Yeah, so it's very, very tricky right now. We are lucky that Pro Club is actually compensating us right now for a couple of weeks. So we are all very, very lucky right there. We have just created this new accountability service. So, we have over 100 coaches at our place. There's a lot of people that are affected by this. And then think about all of our clients. all the members there. This is a huge club, huge facility. So we created this accountability service. So we're just doing like what we've been saying, is adding value to our clients' lives and making sure we're over delivering. And so that's what we're trying to do here. And that's what I try to really push onto my mentees too, is like really give your clients everything they can. It's not just about those at-home workouts. It's about keeping the connection there. Really, this is a good opportunity to find out more about your clients too, and get to know them a little bit more on an intimate level, because that building rapport, building trust is going to go a lot further too. The more we support them, the more they're going to support us when things do go back to normal. So I've been really kind of emphasizing that with my team too, is just be there for your clients. Let's hold them accountable, check in with them every day, make sure they're staying on track. Are they still focused? How can we get them to stay focused and motivated? So just really building those connections and keeping that going is kind of what the staff at Pro Club is doing. And we've created a lot of Facebook groups for their teams, their community, to hold their community together too. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And we don't know how long we're going to be in this state right now. We keep getting it pushed out further and further. So who knows, but we're going to do the best we can and just keep those connections going and really focus on the client. It's all about them. So we're in a service industry, right? So it's all about them. So doing the best we can over here. Yeah.
With the first week I saw, it was like, rah, rah, we're all going to turn into online trainers. Fuck yes. This is what I've been waiting for. And then week 2, 50% of those people fell off, and there was a little bit more of a reality hitting. And now we're in week 3 of this quarantine, and I see that maybe 50% of the profession has already given up. But the ones that maintain these relationships, the one that over-deliver, the ones that realize that it's not only about the workouts, it's about the relationships and quality support of other human beings, they're going to be the ones. But the reality of today is that, we're missing 50% of our workforce in the industry today. It's going to be 60% by next week. It's going to be 70% by the time we get out of this 30 days later. And the key is supporting right now. The key is surviving. The key is maintaining your own training, but your own business as well. But the ones that are left are the ones that truly give a fuck. And I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks, but make sure that's one of you is the one that is going to be surviving. So over deliver, do the hard things right now. And if you can survive this, you're going to be stronger than ever before, mentally, emotionally, but also from a business perspective.
And just like you've said before too, this is not the time to try to fill your schedule to get new clients. We're not trying to get new clients here. We're trying to maintain our clientele, and take care of them, not trying to get new clients out there. And all these new online coaches too. I mean, I've been online for several years now too, so I've been able to maintain that a little bit. But it's hard if you haven't been doing that, and just to try to start all of a sudden to be an online coach, it's not easy work. It's really very challenging. So not a good time to start. But
yeah, about 9 months ago, I started online training for the first time with one-on-one clients, and it was fucking hard. It was not only hard to launch that program, but it is continuously harder and harder to manage at a world-class level. And I take great pride in my service. My results and my relationships are my reputation. But to think that in a day's time, in a week's time, that somebody's going to be able to build this huge infrastructure of this brand new pivoting business, it's fucking crazy. Let's not get too down on ourselves if you can't do that, because it's smoke and mirrors. People aren't actually doing that out there. And we see these predatory Facebook ads coming out. Hey, flip all of your people into online training because I'm making 7 figures doing this. I will tell you guys, honestly, that nobody's doing that. People that are going to survive and that are going to be better than ever before are the ones that are simply doing what they were doing before in a more personal way. But hey, let's get out of here. I got to get my kids in for a nap, but we will be back tomorrow. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, I appreciate
big things on that Bulgarian split squat this week.
Oh, I'm coming for you, RUSIN. I'm coming for you.
I expect at least 115 in a hand, and I want legit reps without equipment, and then we can talk.
Fair enough. I like it.
All right, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Later, guys.
Bye.